Yeah, it almost had me full view. Hey, what I'm going to do is take you down dart row, and I've got a lot of darts because I like darts. This one is probably the most valuable, although it's not my favorite body style. It's a 1970 344 speed. That's an original muscle car because of the way it was equipped. I've had it for a long time. I'm going to build it, but for now, I've just got it inside standing by. I'm going to take you right down dart row. Here we go. A lot of you guys remember, don't hit the dart. I'm 99% done with getting this thing prepped for paint, but here it sits covered in dust, but it's not going to take much. It's going to go back in the booth before you know it. And then there's this guy. This is a 1968 GT. It was a 6-cylinder car. I was trying to buy another car, another 68 Dart. I was like working the ads and stuff in the LA area. I lived in Burbank at the time. And the guy with the car I really wanted, he just would never reply. And I checked this thing out, and it was $2,300. You know, and if you look it over, it's dented up all over the place. I didn't know that. I went to go look at it. The thing was a complete mess. $2,300 for a bombed out dart back then was way too much money. So I told him, hey, no way. And I went back home. The guy's like, well, I can't drop down any more than that because my wife is in love with this car. This is her favorite thing in the world. I mean, she liked it more than a diamond ring. And I was like, yeah, I didn't buy it at all. But anyway, he calls me back and he's like, hey, I'll take like 1,800 or 17, whatever it was, which is like $500 off, which is still too much for the car, but it's like, well, I can't get the one I really want, but it's 68 Dart. So I bought this thing, and then the very same day, come hither, the car I really wanted. After like 2 weeks of phone calls, the guy finally called me back. It was a 68 black Dart with a red interior. It doesn't get much better than that. So I bought 2 darts on the same day. But it was totally worth it. This car, I kind of resprayed the engine bay. Underneath, if you crawl under this thing on your back on like a space blanket, as I do because I don't have a lift, you would see like the hole underneath this car looks like brand new. But I've got a Torque Storm supercharged slant 6 on the engine stand. It's going to go in there. Ignore the spider webs because I'm a little slow on getting stuff done. But here's actually the topic of this whole get-together. This is a 1967 Dodge Dart convertible. I bought it at Fall Fling or Spring Fling. It's a annual, well, they have 2, fall and spring, obviously, annually at Woodley Park in Los Angeles, and I saw this thing was $2,000. I had just seen a Project Dart done by Mopar Muscle magazine back then, and man, it was just beautiful. So I craved having one of my own, and I got this thing. A couple of grand. I was able to scrape together half the money I borrowed the other half, and here it is. It was originally a GT car with a 273 high-performance motor, and I guess it was a 4-barrel engine. Originally gold, and it sat around. Okay, I put it on my back fence line. I called it the Wall of Doom because I had no plans for it, but my daughter Emily, she's like, Dad, I really like the Dodge Dart. So I was like, if you like the Dodge Dart, guess what? It's yours. So here it is. She spent a lot of time, she sanded the thing, like the exterior body and stuff like that. You can probably see it's got a tiny bit of surface rust because that was a year ago, but a little bit of acid etch. That'll all come off. It'll be ready to shoot for primer. The really weird thing about this, if you come right over to the engine bay, somebody set this thing up for drag racing because it's cut out in the inner fender wells for fender well headers. And then if you go to the other fender well, you can see, it had the Edelbrock water injection, the Mallory high performance coil. I guess when I put it back together, I'm going to put a 318 in it and weld in patch panels to fill that out, because small block fender headers, I don't even know if you can get them anymore. I know you can get the big block ones. It's completely unnecessary, but pretty cool nonetheless. We walk on over, you've got the doors. A lot of the paint's been sanded off of those as well. There's some Bondo, and that very light surface rust will acid etch out. Here's the thing, when you're restoring a car, where a lot of guys get in trouble is, you will just pile parts up in a mountain, and then you'll get a bucket, maybe a mop bucket, maybe an old dishwashing soap bucket or a laundry detergent plastic tub, and you'll throw all the bolts and screws and hardware in there. But don't do that. Here's what you want to do. Come on over. If you check out this whole rack, original seats, back seat, it's totally shredded, but try to find one for a convertible Dodge Dart. You're not going to find it. Door panels, okay, they're complete junk, and you can get new ones, but check it out. Read that. Dart GT. You want all of those little odds and ends and pieces because you can't find them. You've got to be able to put your hands on them when you're ready to go. All the fuel system related stuff is right there. And then you have these tubs, a whole bunch of chrome and little odds and ends and parts. What's in here? All the seatbelt bolts, hardware, special thick washers. You can't just throw all that stuff in your garbage pail and be able to restore your car, because by the time you go through that stuff, it's going to take you longer than making stuff happen. So this whole rack, Emily's stuff. We've been thinking about the paint color. It's going to go dark red. The thing about a Dodge Dart convertible is it's different than a hardtop car, which are pretty cool too, but you've got all of the convertible top mechanism and stuff like that. Really, really hard to find. So you want to catalog and take care of all that stuff, come on over here and I'll show you some of the things involved, because this is a power top. You can see down in here, you've got cylinders that operate the convertible top. You've got all of those lines and wires and stuff like that. You're not going to find that in a coupe or something. So what's going to go under the hood? Come on up. I've been thinking about it a lot. I can go with a modern engine like a Gen 3 Hemi or something like that. But the thing is, you've got to get those electronics in there. And I want to keep it really analog and really simple. And small block Mopar will just drop in here. That's what the car came with originally. So to, my adult brain, it kind of makes sense to me. And I've got a whole bunch of 318 blocks, which was a bread and butter Mopar engine. It wasn't the high performance 340 or the big block 383. And it wasn't even a 440, It was very basic. Back in the day, if you said, I've got a 318, you're not going to impress anyone. But the thing is, it's very, very easy to get 400 plus horsepower out of a 318. I've done, half a dozen or more of those engines, like in the last 20 years in various, and I featured them in like a whole bunch of different magazine articles. I think the best one I did was 426 horsepower with ported 360 heads. So none of them were race engines, like with crazy compression, aftermarket heads, big, big everything. They were just 318s with basic parts, and they can make enough horsepower. So I've got some 318s over here that are already machined and ready for assembly. I think that's probably going to be best. If I have a 400 horsepower 318 in this car, it's going to scoot pretty good because these are actually pretty light. It's just a sweet, sweet combination. And that's what I'm going to do. Well, actually, I'm not going to do it because this is no longer my car. It's Emily's machine. I'm going to make her assemble the engine. Actually, she's looking forward to doing that. And it's going to be analog. It's going to be simple. It's going to have a simple ignition system, carburetor, mechanical fuel pump. It's going to be totally reliable, fixable on the side of the road, and super fun. So I can't wait till we get back into this project. A lot of work has been done, and there's going to be a whole lot more. Every time I talk to her, it's like, "Oh, Dad, I want to get my dark back together." So look forward to that. I know I am, and it'll be pretty cool. So there you go, the 1967 Dodge Dart.